All right, what's up, everyone? We have our special guest today on our Eli and Mike podcast. We have the Jorge Contreras. What's up, dude?
Welcome.
Let's go. Thank you for having me. Truly
So
an
excited.
opportunity and an honor to be here with you guys.
Thank you so
Yes,
much, man. I
yes.
appreciate you. Also an honor for us. We've actually
Honored.
met a long time ago, and we're like, you know what? We need to have Jorge on this podcast because look at you, dude. You look young. You got businesses going on. And me and Mike were like, we got to get him on the podcast.
Right.
Like,
We
why? He's
match
all over the
energies
social
well.
media.
We match energies well.
And we match energies too. And you're running you run this sophisticated company called the Real System.
Yep.
Perfect. And we would love to just, talk to you a little bit about it. We have viewers that are in the real estate business, that are in the finance industry, and everybody wants to get into the Airbnb business.
Right.
They want to do
Yes.
so many different things.
Even
and
us, we want to.
Yeah.
We're trying to get into this, so we need your knowledge today.
absolutely. Absolutely. So now that you're here, obviously Eli and Mike would love to kind of dig deep a little bit and
Let's
figure
do it.
out a little bit more about you, Jorge. So question, first of all, I'm sure a lot of the females, and forgive me, I know you're married. A lot of the females would love to know how old you are.
Wow.
I'm 35.
Okay, he's 35.
35,
Okay,
yes,
girls,
yes,
he is
yes.
taken, but you know what? He's okay. He's taken. Okay.
Males, females,
That's
you know.
it. Sorry if the wife
Just
is
say it,
watching. I
just say it.
apologize. But it's fun.
And this goes for everybody. Just say nowadays.
Oh wow,
this
it's
goes
not
for
females
everybody.
either. Okay, fine,
Yes,
fine.
yes.
But hey, so talk to us a little bit about your business. We ran into you at this Avengers Mastermind,
Yep.
and
Yes.
honestly, we thought you were part of it, but I didn't know you were just a speaker. But that's great. It was an honor, I'm sure, to see you present to everybody in this mastermind. A bunch of millionaires that are there to just learn more about the culture of real estate and to know more about it. Like, what's your advice? Why are you doing this Airbnb stuff? Is it something you always wanted to do?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I just figured if I'm going to be a real estate investor, do I want to make $200 off a door or $2,000 off a door? And obviously with Airbnbs, it is a high operation intensive business, but just like any business, if you know how to build teams and systems, and if you're a visionary, and if people believe the vision and they follow the vision and they see the vision as their own,
Yes.
then you can make almost anything passive. And so for me, my Airbnbs are completely passive. I spend maybe
Amazing.
30, 45 minutes a week, and that's it, because I have a
Wow.
solid manager,
Wow.
solid operator, integrator, great systems, and I want to maximize the cash flow out of my properties. Nowadays, it's really difficult to cash flow, especially if you're here in California,
Yes.
unless you're putting like 40, 50% down, which is a very bad use of money,
Of
course.
because you're not using leverage.
Right.
And so my goal is to get into these properties with as little money out of pocket and make as much cash flow in the back end.
It's so interesting too, because I think a lot of people, they think they have to put in a lot of money to buy these Airbnb properties or fix and flips or do whatever projects are in each house, and you're finding ways of making that happen, whether it's through your connections or obviously you have experience. And cash flow definitely is something that everybody wants. What do you think? I don't, and I think I heard this before, the cap rate in California. What's kind of the average in California right now? What is your thought on that?
That's a good question. I think here it's really low. It's probably like in the fours.
That's what I thought too.
Um,
Yeah.
And they usually use a where they look at the net cash flow, but typically it's with long-term tenants.
Okay.
So when we use Airbnbs, obviously we're able to get a much higher return on our money. And then there's ways that we could use comps, like we use softwares like AirDNA, similar to the MLS. You can look at the comps to buy or sell a property. We can look at AirDNA in order to determine what the potential revenue is. It'll give you a projected revenue based on similar properties in the area.
Wow, that's amazing.
Amazing. And so what was your first one? And what was your income that you were getting from that, where you were like, I'm going to be the Airbnb king? Like, we need to know
Yeah.
your first Airbnb that just sparked you and you're like, this is me.
Yeah, so the way it started is I had 4 units that I already owned where the leases were ending for long-term tenants. And that was at the beginning of 2017. So in March of 2017, I launched my first 4 units as Airbnbs, and all 4 of them were 2-1s.
Okay.
So 2-bedroom, 1 bath, between 5 and 800 square feet.
Nice.
And they were in Los Angeles, in Riverside, and in Pico Rivera.
Oh wow.
And those units at the time with long-term tenants were making $1,500 a month in gross rents.
Okay.
On Airbnb, they started averaging about $3,500.
Wow.
So I went from making $6K in gross rents to $14K in gross rents.
Wow.
That's just nasty.
Wow.
Like that's seriously
That's
nasty money.
That's like your
what
car
in the-
payment for you. That's like your house payment for you. That's like, oh, I
Yeah.
can go shopping if
I
I
mean,
like.
I mean, that
You
alone
know?
is sustaining the standard, wealth that people really need to have, aside from
Yes.
everything else that
Oh
you're
my
doing. But
God,
that alone
yeah.
is like, you don't really have to work besides just checking on your real estate.
Wow,
Yeah.
and this is powerful because this was your first one?
I did my first 4 at like pretty much in the same month.
Wow.
But that's
Oh
crazy.
my God. You guys, if you guys are hearing this, you're listening to like the king here. He is the one. So
So that's the interesting part. Like my goal in 2017 was to like get out of the rat race, right? That's when the
Amazing.
money you make in your sleep
yes.
meets or exceeds your living expenses.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what happened in
Right.
2017 is the money I made from Airbnbs paid for all of my living expenses.
Wow.
And it was just
Wow.
mind blowing. I was
Oh
like,
my
wow,
God.
like I'm literally like financially free.
So then tell us
Wow.
this, if you were financially free in 2017 when everything happened with COVID and everyone was
Mm.
just out and they had no funds and, you know, God bless, but they're out, you know, the government's helping them out.
Mhm.
Are you one of the individuals that was still collecting on these funds? Were you still collecting that 14K a month from these
Oh,
Airbnbs?
right. Yeah, well, it wasn't 14K anymore. It was like over 100K.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Hold up, guys.
I'm
He
turning
said
red.
$100,000. All right.
I'm literally
I'm
turning
li-
red.
I'm listening more. Go ahead.
And
Oh
again,
my
it's not
God.
profit; it's gross rents, right?
Yes,
Gross
yes.
rents
Hey,
from the
that's still,
Airbnb.
that's
Still.
still pretty good.
And you
Uh,
guys, this is like in the middle of COVID where literally no one has any funds that most of everybody has to go to the government to collect and
Yeah.
stay alive. And because you put yourself in these Airbnbs and, you know, having them rented out every month, I
yeah.
mean, 100K a month.
Yeah, but let's talk about it, right? Because you're
Yes.
right. In 2020, a lot of people stopped traveling.
Mhm.
Especially they stopped having luxury traveling experiences. But they didn't stop traveling completely. What happened is people started to have other types of experiences
Mhm.
where they can still have a great time, but at a fraction of the cost.
Mhm.
Yes.
So one of the things I started doing before COVID is
Mhm.
I started setting up all my properties as a staycation experience.
Mhm.
So
Got it.
90% of my properties have pools, jacuzzis, and a game room. So I got a pool table just the way you guys hear. I got a foosball table, large
Wow.
Connect Four, Jenga, Monopoly,
Perfect.
all these different things. And so what happened is during the pandemic or the pandemic, right? People stopped traveling, say maybe to Cabo
Mhm.
or internationally,
Right.
but they started
Right.
driving and having staycation experiences in the 30 minutes away, 45 minutes away.
Yes.
Experiences that people couldn't have in their home. They
Mhm.
were sick and tired of being stuck in home,
Mhm.
and they were booking my Airbnbs just to stay there
Wow.
for 3 days. They weren't going
Wow.
anywhere. They weren't going to a conference or a wedding.
Mhm.
They just wanted to stay in the property for 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
And so
that's
yes,
powerful.
from March 15th to April 30th, it was bad. Everybody got refunds for the Airbnb
Yes.
bookings, and it did impact us negatively.
Mhm.
But come May, it started to really pick up and pick up and pick up. And until this day, that's one of the strategies that has really worked is creating a staycation experience
love
where
that.
you attract
Yeah.
people from the same city or even nearby cities.
Mhm.
Wow.
And even
Mhm.
right now in a recession, again, people are spending less money,
Mhm.
but they're still spending money. And it's just about creating a great experience at a
Mhm.
fraction of the cost.
Well, staycation, you know, that's something we're gonna have to utilize on our Airbnb.
Yes.
I mean, pool table, I can see how that fascinates people. Swimming pool, I mean, who does not love that during
Right.
summer? Like
Yeah.
that's
Jacuzzi.
everything.
The
Jacuzzi
it.
during
Love
the
it's a
it.
winter
must.
and everything.
Like when I stay at Airbnbs, if it doesn't have a jacuzzi, I'm not staying there.
See?
That's like my
Love it.
favorite thing to
Yes.
do. Especially like
Yes.
I booked multiple Airbnbs in the Big Bay area,
Yes.
and like at night I want
Right.
to chill, I want to hang out in the jacuzzi
Exactly.
and hang out.
There
you
has
know?
to be a jacuzzi.
It needs to have a
It
jacuzzi.
needs to have a
I
jacuzzi.
love
It's
that.
a must.
Yes.
And
If you're getting an
I got
Airbnb, jacuzzi.
I got a link where you guys can buy one for like 4K.
Perfect.
Oh,
I was
really?
gonna ask
4,000.
you. Oh
No
my
kidding.
god.
All right,
we
fine.
need
We're
this.
gonna
we
connect
need
on this right after.
Yeah. So we have the links. If you guys need that jacuzzi for your Airbnb, we got you. We got it.
So you're a married man. You know, you
Married
have.
man.
I think you said you have two
Two
beautiful
daughters, 3.5 and
Yes.
6 months.
Oh,
my
they're still
God,
kids.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Love
that's
it.
adorable.
Oh my
Well,
god.
mine are older, 19 and 16. So
Yes,
whatever.
I
But
know.
but
I would
yeah.
have never known.
Yeah.
19 and 16.
Sorry, I
I thought
wasn't
you were
supposed to say it.
22.
Okay, fine.
We thought you were
He's
20.
not your
We
best
thought
friend.
you were 20. And actually, that was one of our questions that we asked Mr. George here. So how do you stay so fit? How do you stay so, young? Everything that you got
So
going
let's
on.
talk about my skincare routine.
Yes,
Let's do
skincare,
that.
skincare.
Hey, everybody get a pencil and paper. Write
Yeah.
this down.
You know, they say that you are what you eat,
Yes.
and it's
Absolutely,
true.
yeah.
So me and my
Yes.
wife have been on a plant-based vegan diet for
Amazing.
6 years.
Oh my
6
God.
years.
So no
Wow.
egg, no cheese, no dairy, anything with a mom or a dad, we don't have it.
Oh, wow.
And that has helped. Like I actually
Wow.
probably lost like 10 pounds.
Okay.
Like good weight that I
Mhm.
needed to shed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have pretty good skin.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah,
No, it
yes.
is.
it's all
glowing too
natural.
and
Haven't
everything.
done
Right.
any procedures.
I was right. For real. Yes.
I'm
Let's
just
put
joking,
that on
but really,
record.
it's just like,
No
like we have
procedures.
a housekeeper, and every day she makes us like a juice, a smoothie,
Amazing.
ginger
Wow.
shots,
Wow.
and we pretty clean, probably
Mhm.
like a 75-25, 75%
Mhm,
clean.
mhm. Yes.
And of course I have a trainer that comes to the house,
Mhm.
3 days a week.
Yes.
I have a sauna, do red light
Yes,
therapy. Just got a
right.
cold plunge.
Okay.
Gonna start
Yes.
doing
Okay,
that next
amazing.
week. So huge focus on
Mhm.
winning everywhere, not just in money.
I love the winning mentality, like the fact that
Mhm.
you're working out, you're also being an individual that's eating healthy and participating with your family.
Yeah.
It's not
Yes.
just you alone. I know people that do it
Yes.
alone and their whole
Right.
families
No,
in
me and my
a
wife
mess.
work out
Mm.
together with our
That's
trainer.
powerful.
We do the sauna
Powerful.
together.
I mean, we do that
the
too
infrared,
Yes.
all that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I think the only thing we're missing
It's
that
the
you guys are
infrared,
doing
right?
is the
It's the
sauna.
infrared, the sauna.
And actually, tell us a little bit how the sauna changed your life, because I hear about this so much, and this is somebody who's
Right.
actually using it.
yeah.
So,
So we've had an infrared sauna for maybe about 4 years
oh
now,
wow,
5 years.
Okay.
And it's been a life-changing experience.
Mhm.
We use it like
Okay.
4 or 5 days a week,
Wow.
typically
Really? Okay, so
after the workout. So when the
Okay.
trainer arrives, I turn it on for an hour.
Mhm.
Okay.
And when we finish the workout after 55
Mhm.
minutes, I go straight into the sauna
Nice.
when my heart rate is up.
Mhm.
Okay.
And man, they say that if you use a sauna like 4 times, you're like 80% less likely to have like a heart attack or anything like that.
Yes, I heard these.
Yeah,
Cardiovascular,
Eli's like
all that
Mike.
stuff.
He's
No,
all
I'm just
telling
saying,
me
Mike
Mike.
has
No, I'm
a-
serious. Like
No,
like,
because I almost always have heart
He
attacks.
always- yeah,
So
almost
like
always.
no, but I heard these statistics as well, and I was actually telling Eli
Yeah.
about this the other day. I was like, we need to
Oh,
get
yeah.
a sauna,
No,
or
we
I'm gonna
do.
have a heart attack.
Oh man, and honestly, I think when you sweat that much,
Yeah.
it just everything comes out of the pores, and I
Mhm.
think that's part of having good
Yes.
skin.
Yes,
Is
it-
that
it
all these
is.
toxins they're just
Right,
coming out.
right.
So that
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we have to talk about this, you guys, because
Yeah.
honestly, when you're in real estate, when you're purchasing Airbnbs, when you have 10 plus properties like Mr. George, 15, 20 properties, I mean, you have to realize stress, it hits you, you
Yeah.
know? So you have to do everything in your power to be stress free. And one of them that George is using, this is why he looks so amazing, is that infrared sauna. So Eli, please buy me one.
I'll get one for you after today.
Just saying, just
Like, all
saying.
you have
got
to
you.
do is get another Airbnb that'll
Yeah.
give you enough cash flow to buy the sauna.
There you go. See,
We have the answers. We
That's
have
how you
the
got to
answers.
think. Like anytime I
True.
want to get anything, go
Yes.
more vacations, a sauna, the cold plunge. All
Right.
these are really
Mhm.
investments, not
Yes.
expenses, right? But the cash flow producing assets that I'm
Right.
creating, they pay
Right.
for these things. They
Yes.
pay for the vehicles. They pay for everything.
Exactly.
I
And
just-
like actually on that, we are not joking here. So when you have an Airbnb and you have a return on investment per month, can you just tell us like 3 items that you can sit here and say, you know what, this is being paid for by my Airbnb?
So I just got a Lambo.
Oh my
Okay.
God!
All right. I can
Congrats!
hang out with you guys.
I just gotta
Congrats!
hang out.
Stop,
I got a
love it.
Lamborghini Urus because it
All
weighs
right.
over
Oh my
6,000
gosh,
pounds. And
congrats.
I love that. I gotta
Oh
rate
my
I
that
was
right
able
off.
to deduct the entire
Yes.
purchase
Yeah.
price in year one.
Love
So
that.
that's one. Another one is, like the housekeeper. Obviously, that
Yes.
is also an investment.
Oh
None of
my
these are
God.
expensive. These are investments,
Wow.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
But man,
they
she
are.
cooks, cleans,
Yes.
laundry, iron, everything. Like she was
Mhm.
ironing my shirt
The
today.
pico.
Tomorrow I'm speaking in
Oh my
Pasadena.
God.
She was
I
ironing
love
my
that.
clothes.
Love it.
She does everything, right?
Yes.
And
Investment.
my investments
Yes.
pay for someone like that. That also
Wow.
buys me and my wife an extra
Yes.
40 hours a week of
Wow.
things that we don't have to do.
So
I
an
love how-
investment
yeah.
paying for an investment.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I
how
love
you
I
do
love
it.
how
It's-
you didn't say liability. You said investment.
These are
Mhm.
investments, right?
Mhm,
That
mhm,
So
mhm.
had I not bought that Urus, it would have cost me about $140,000 in taxes.
Yeah.
So buying that vehicle saved me. It kept $140,000 in my pocket.
Beautiful.
And even though I financed it, because that's the smart way to leverage, right? Is to
Mhm.
use leverage.
Yes.
Financed it over, I think, 7 years,
Okay.
but I was able to deduct the entire purchase price in year one.
So good.
Oh
It was
my
great
God.
tax
And I would say the
information, too.
third is like we love going on vacations. Every
Yes.
2.5 months we're on
We gotta
vacation.
go.
We
Oh my
love, and it's all
God, that's so
inclusive.
amazing.
Okay.
Nice restaurants, and it just works. So those are like the
Wow.
main three.
So
That's so
I
powerful.
have to ask you a question. So right, you're this business entrepreneur. You're running a great business. You're doing classes too. You not necessarily hosting, but you have like a course.
Yeah.
But what was the before you? The before of today? What were you doing before you got into the Airbnb business? Like what were
So
you doing?
I was actually a professional dancer.
No way.
Okay, why did I just automatically think that? Okay, do
Wait,
tell,
are
like,
you
what?
joking or this is real?
No, this is serious. I
Love
used to be
it.
a bachata instructor,
Oh my God.
and so I started the first bachata dance company. Me and my business
Okay.
partner, her name is
Mhm.
Leslie. We started the very first bachata nightclub. I'm sorry, the very first bachata dance company.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like a choreography company where all we did was bachata.
What
Wow,
is
right.
bachata? What is that?
Bachata is a sensual partner dance from the Dominican Republic. So a lot of
Okay.
people that dance salsa dance bachata. You've never seen bachata?
I
But
probably seen
Romeo
it.
Santos, Aventura. French Royce.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Okay,
so
okay.
they
Yes.
sing bachata.
Mhm.
Got it.
And a lot of people that dance salsa dance bachata. So we had
Okay.
a choreography company. I started the first all bachata nightclub in the U.S.
Oh,
No way.
wow.
I traveled to over 25 countries
Oh my
teaching,
God.
performing,
Really?
emceeing bachata events.
Oh
Me and my
my
partner
God.
also had two of the largest bachata festivals in LA that we ran for about 12 years.
Oh, wow.
I exited the business and she continues it. So that
Mhm.
event
Oh,
still
nice.
goes on today.
Oh,
It's
wow.
actually in
Nice.
about a week and a half,
Oh, wow.
Valentine's weekend.
Okay, perfect
Um,
timing.
So we had the nightclub. So you had like 8 streams of income all from bachata.
Wow.
And it was great. It was a great chapter in my life. Did
Yes.
that for about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge though is that I sort didn't like I had some leverage, but not
Mhm.
that much leverage. So
Mhm.
I needed to be present a lot.
Yes.
So anytime I talk about getting out of the rat race or becoming financially free, I'm always referencing like exiting that business that
Oh,
I
wow.
ran like a job.
Oh, yes.
Because they say, right, if your business needs you in order for it to
Mhm.
run, you don't have a business, you have
Right.
a job.
I can
Yes.
so agree with you on
I
that.
And so
100%.
I had some leverage, but I still needed to be, pretty present.
Mhm.
And a lot of times a nightclub, we wouldn't finish until 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
Mhm.
Wow.
And that wasn't a sustainable life that I saw myself having when
Right.
eventually we would have kids.
Yes.
Wow.
So I was like, man, I need to figure out a way to stop trading time for money,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I need to figure out a way to make passive income. So the turning point is that in 2012, I had a
Mhm.
back surgery
Okay.
in my L5S1, and the doctor said it was a 50-50 chance I would ever walk again.
Really?
No
How did was
way.
that an injury?
I had
or-
a herniated disc that
Okay.
From
just
dancing?
developed over years from doing a lot of acrobatics.
Oh,
I had a
got
lot
it.
of
Okay.
injuries. In my teenage years, I did a lot of skateboarding,
Got
jumping
it.
off stairs.
Yeah.
Had like maybe a couple car accidents growing
Oh,
up.
wow.
So
Oh
just
my
wear and
God.
tear over the years.
Okay.
And that's when I was like, dude, what if I
Yeah.
can't walk?
50-50 is very.
That's-
Any
Yeah,
type of back
that's a big
surgery where
chance.
they're
Wow.
going into your
Oh, yeah, I
spine,
can
Yes.
imagine.
doesn't matter if it's
Yes.
minor or severe,
Mm-hmm.
it's 50-50. And the crazy part is a lot of people that have back surgeries,
Mhm.
like more than half of them, within 6 months, they go right back to the same symptoms.
Wow.
Luckily, I'm 100%.
Okay,
Okay.
that's great.
Yes.
That said,
That's success.
there was like a paradigm shift where I was like, man, I need to do something different, like
Mhm.
ASAP. I can't
Mhm.
keep living my life in a way where I need my body to make money. I need to use my mind to make money.
Yes.
And that's what led me into real estate investing. I started buying real estate that same
Okay.
year in 2012. And then actually one of my dance students in 2016 is the one
Mhm.
that introduced me to Airbnb, and that's what kind of led me down this path. But that's what I did for 8 years. I was a professional bachata
Oh my
dancer,
Wow. That is
instructor,
some-
performer, choreographer.
That is
Wow.
insane. I mean, so you're going from being a dancer, you even had a back problems, and now you're this huge investor hanging around these big circles of people.
Yeah.
You're in our show now,
Yes.
and we are going to even learn from you because we're starting our Airbnb adventure,
Mhm. Yes.
and it's crazy how anybody can twist around their whole culture of themselves.
Yeah.
Like you went from that to this. I mean, that's insane, and that's
Yes.
great for you guys that are watching because you can turn around your life at any point.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter where you're at, what you're doing,
Yes.
how you're treating your life, or what circle you're in. You could do what Jorge did and just, hey, if I'm doing this, but I find myself in an avenue to make more wealth and do something different or creative or be happy doing it.
Mhm.
I mean, you're a perfect example of just, hey,
Yeah.
you can change your stars. You can align differently,
Yes,
That's
and that was a 50-50 chance, everyone, and he still made it happen. Most of us have more of a chance in life to be great, and you had a 50-50 chance, and you still made it happen.
That's,
That is
the
so
odds are
powerful.
insane. Like, that's crazy.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So what is your goal on how many Airbnb properties? You're not going to stop. You're going to keep going. What is your goal on this?
That's a good question. If you guys remember when you guys called me about getting that Airbnb, I talked about
Yes.
something called cost segregation.
Oh, yeah, I
Yes.
remember
And that's
that.
where
Yeah.
you, in short, you accelerate the depreciation on real estate that you own,
Mhm.
and it can offset any income, mortgage, ambiance, coaching, like any type of active income, because these are all active incomes.
Right.
It can offset. So essentially, you could pay zero in taxes legally. So my goal every year moving forward is to buy enough real estate to pay zero in taxes. That's it.
Amazing,
So good.
And I keep doing that. I'm gonna have to buy a lot of real estate, which
Yes.
is a beautiful thing.
It
Yeah.
is.
Like I
It's
love the fact
amazing.
that I have to buy real estate. It's either either the money goes to
Mhm.
Uncle Sam
Yes.
or it goes into real estate.
Right.
I mean,
So,
Right.
why
those-
not? Like,
Yes,
Uncle
yes,
Sam has enough
definitely.
money and problems too. I'm good. I'll stay
Yes.
out of that basket.
Exactly.
Love it.
So,
Love it.
so question for you. So, a lot of people don't know the formula to getting an Airbnb. Like, what? Let's just say that I'm brand new at it.
Yep.
And I've never done it before, and I have maybe only $10,000 in my bank. So let's assume people just don't have a lot of money. What are the steps? What exactly can they do with that money, or how can they leverage themselves with other people's money to get their first investment?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Is the first thing is that they shouldn't look at only how much money they have, because ultra successful people almost never use their money and almost never use their credit.
Love it.
So whatever it is that you're lacking, if somebody out there is like, okay, this sounds good, Jorge, what if I don't have credit? Okay, this sounds good, Jorge, what if I don't have money? You need to look at, like Tony Robbins says, you don't have to, success isn't about having all the resources, it's about being resourceful. So if you don't have the credit, all you need to ask yourself is, who's got the credit?
Right.
And if you don't have the money, you just ask yourself, who's got the money?
Right. And
Very
I love
wise.
that concept
Very wise.
because, you know, and this is a little off, but, you know, Donald Trump getting what they say, a loan for $1 million from his dad. I always say that's so amazing that he did go and get that loan from his dad. And most people will talk bad about Donald Trump getting a loan from his dad, but he turned that $1 million into like $1 billion.
Right.
He literally made it work for him. So anybody can say whatever they want, but he leveraged that loan that he got, you know? And so anytime we have a chance that we can get a loan or make something work for me and Eli, we'll take it, because then we're going to leverage that, and then we're going to upgrade, and then obviously that'll be paid back, and we're going to be leveraging and then upgrading. So I really love this concept.
Yeah, and for me, the goal, I always tell my students, my goal is for them to own as much real estate, because that's where they're going to get, you know, all the benefits, right? Cash flow, appreciation, depreciation, mortgage pay down, and taxes. But when most people are not in a position to go and buy a couple properties, right? You guys have a great business that has given you the opportunity to now start buying real estate. Right. But most people, like 80% of people, are not there yet, right? And that's why I teach people Airbnb arbitrage, because it's a great way to get their feet wet, to get started. And that's where you rent an owner's property, get permission in writing to use it as a short-term rental, and then you launch it on platforms like Airbnb.
And is this something that's found like on some kind of website, or is it through your program where somebody can find?
Yeah, I mean, we teach it. I mean, people can find YouTube videos. There's books on it, all that stuff. But we have an education company where we teach people how to do it. We teach all the strategies, purchasing, subleasing, and also how to start a management company.
Wow, that's amazing.
But subleasing is the strategy where I would say like 9 out of 10 of our students start with that.
Yes.
And in general, like most people, that's what they want to start with, because again, it's a low-hanging fruit, low barrier to entry. All they need is the first month, the deposit, and the furniture.
Yes.
So good.
Just like when you move into a house to actually live there, but except you're not living there is the only difference.
That is so good. So that I'm assuming that somebody would get a share from the owner will get a share of the profits that are being made.
No,
by that.
the owner, they just want their mailbox money.
Yes.
So if someone, if a landlord is advertising, hey, I'm looking, you know, say it's on Zillow, and they're looking for somebody to rent the property on a 12-month lease for $3,000 a month, you could pay them that $3,000 a month, and then the difference from what you pay them and what you generate is your profit.
That is just
You're if you think
amazing.
about it, right, you're basically becoming the bank.
Yes.
And the banks have always had the number one business model.
Absolutely.
Right? So like, say John walks into the bank and deposits 10 grand, they're going to pay John 0.10 on his money. I walk into the bank and borrow those 10,000, which is really John's money. The bank's going to charge me 10%.
Yeah.
So they're making 9.9 on other people's money. Like, they're in the arbitrage business.
That's right.
So essentially, we are becoming the bank by you could either own or control real estate. So we're controlling the asset through a lease agreement, and the difference from what we pay John or the landlord and what we generate is our profit.
So literally,
Powerful.
there is no excuse. Everyone out there, you could own real estate or you could sublease it. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, you could do both. I do both.
All right. All right.
Literally,
I
he
love
does
that.
both, and he owns his own properties. He subleases properties. There is like no excuse for you to get out there and start this. I mean, you have kids, you have a wife, and actually that brings me to my next question. Owning so many properties and dealing with your schooling that you teach all these individuals,
Right.
How does this affect your, home life, your children, your wife? Is everything flowing correctly? Are you guys like, sometimes because there's so much going on, are you guys like at this under the line? How is it all going for you? We want to know.
It's going great. It's one of the things that I'm most proud of. Maybe
Amazing.
back in like 2016, me and my wife took this online course. It's called Lifebook.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You're creating your
Lifebook.
own life book. It's sort of like creating a vision board, but it's in 12 categories.
Oh, wow.
And category number 12 is the most important category, and that is your overall quality of life.
Oh, wow.
Like, I'm sure you guys have met people. I've definitely met people who are doing really well financially, but they have the shittiest quality of life.
Yes.
Like, they're not thriving in their health.
Correct.
They're not thriving in their relationships. They're not enjoying the fruits of their labor.
Yes.
They're just good at making money, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
Yeah.
So for me,
I
it is
agree.
extremely important and a non-negotiable to be winning everywhere in my relationships, in my finances, and in my health. So I'm constantly putting effort into all those things.
Wow.
All right. So for example, today I left my house at 2:00 and I won't be
Yes.
back till like midnight because I have meetings
Yes.
and a bunch of like conferences
Mhm.
I'm going to.
Yes.
But before this, like I was in a jacuzzi for a couple hours with my wife and my daughter,
Love
and we're
it.
having great quality time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
Amazing.
And so whenever I know that it's going to be a long day or if it's going to be a
Mhm.
long week, I always plug into my calendar like, hey,
I
we're
love
going to
that.
do this. We're going to take, my daughter to her, say her gym class.
Wow.
And then after that, we're going to go hang out and do this. So
Wow.
it's plugged into my calendar on the
Mhm.
daily, but
Mhm.
every day there's like connection points with my family.
Mhm.
That's
So-
huge because
Very
we
huge.
just hired a personal assistant that actually keeps track of our calendar, and we
Mhm.
haven't even thought about that, right?
Mhm.
We have
Right.
all our business on the
Yes.
calendar, but
Yeah.
we have no
Yes.
family
Yeah.
in there.
Right.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great,
Wow.
like,
And we get to it, but
We get to it, but we get to
it's
it.
just
Right.
not like how you have it set up. And honestly, just having it on calendar will just make things so
Yeah.
much easier.
Can you imagine how
Like,
amazing
so
our life would be?
amazing.
yeah,
So,
for
like-
me, if it's not on my calendar,
Yes.
it's not happening.
not
It
happening,
doesn't
right?
matter what it is. My
Mhm.
workouts, my smoothies, my
Yes.
vitamins,
Yes.
everything, anything
Mhm.
that is important for me and must go in my calendar or
Love
it doesn't
that.
happen.
Love that.
So keyword non-negotiable, guys. Like for us, some of our non-negotiables are working out every morning. We wake up at
Mhm.
either 4 or 5.
yes.
We definitely, communicate. We
Mhm.
read a book. We mastermind a little bit in the morning. We obviously have healthy food in the
Mhm.
morning, and then we get on in our work day. And we follow up with our clients and all that sort of stuff. So we have certain non-negotiables, but I love the fact that you can plug in family,
Yes.
Yeah.
and that's huge for me because I always I'm big in
Mhm.
complaining.
Yeah.
I complain all the time, like why aren't we spending more time?
Yes.
Why are we doing all this work yet we get home we never see our kids?
Yeah.
But I never put it in there in the calendar.
It's such a good point. A lot, and I started changing this probably about 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
Think of how many people we've all heard of or know who work so hard in their 20s and 30s and their 40s so that one day in their 50s or in their 60s they can enjoy it all, and then these people like died.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Very
Like,
true.
it's-
Very
that's why
true.
Sad
personally,
stories.
Yes.
I don't believe in 401ks.
Mhm,
I don't believe
mhm.
in pension plans.
Yes.
I don't believe in retirement
right.
funds.
Right.
Like
right,
my real
right.
estate, first of all, is my
Right.
retirement.
Yes.
But this whole aspect of work your ass off into your
Wow.
67 so that you can
Mhm.
enjoy your life
right.
just does not resonate because
Yes.
most people don't make it.
Right.
Right.
And I'll never forget,
Right.
me and my wife went on our first vacation
Mhm.
to Tulum in 2012 when the world was supposed to end in December
Mhm.
20.
Yeah, I
Right,
remember
right.
that.
Yes,
It was
yes,
supposed to
yes.
I was like, we
Aztec
actually
calendar.
went there. We went to that. Yeah, we
Wow.
went.
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
we went during that time. And, they pick you up from the airport. They take you to your all-inclusive resort. And there was this man that was probably about 72 years old. And he had 3 back surgeries.
Mhm.
And the guy could barely walk. And I'll never forget what he said. He said, I worked so hard so that now I can enjoy my life. And I remember looking at my wife, girlfriend at the time. I was like, that is not going to be us.
Yes.
We need to constantly make it a non-negotiable to
Right.
enjoy now, because the
Yes.
reality is like tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Mhm.
And too many people are living for this future date when they can
Yes.
finally fill in the blank.
Yes.
And for me, like, I don't believe in that. That's why
Mhm.
I love spending my money in things and experiences, because
Mhm.
tomorrow is not
Yes.
guaranteed. Like, life can be, really short. And so you got to make sure. That's why, again, everything about, I don't want to work so hard so that one day I can spend time with my kids.
I love
that
that.
day might not
Yeah.
come.
I love that so much. We were walking on the Sunset Strip today, me and Eli, and we're going for some coffee. And honestly, it is probably like a $15 cup of coffee each. I
Right.
know that's a lot of money, but the experience that we get when we have this cup of coffee, they literally put a rainbow milk on top. You literally have every color of the rainbow.
Right.
Your name, Eli and Mike, is on there. And just us sitting there together because we work so much,
Yeah.
enjoying that coffee that
Exactly.
costs $15 a cup. I know that sounds crazy. That experience that, we were walking down the strip and I was like, Eli, like, we deserve this and we should
Yeah.
want to live the life how we want to live. And we do work hard, where if we want to have a coffee with rainbows all over it, we can. And we shouldn't be waiting until we're 70 years old
Yeah.
to be like,
Yeah.
let's have a rainbow coffee that costs $15. We live for now, but it's because we work so hard now. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like, we literally get up at 4 a.m. Like you said, you won't be home till 12. We'll probably be barely going to sleep at 12. You're still gonna have to like wind down, but we're right there with you. We're going to
Yeah.
sleep at midnight.
Yeah.
We're waking up at 4 a.m. But it gives us the opportunity to live life now, live young, do things that we want to do, like having coffee that's $15. Sorry.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? That's just what makes us happy. And then we can go
Absolutely.
and the next day we're happy and we get to work hard again because
Yeah.
we're satisfied with life instead of waiting until we're 70, 75 years old. You know what I mean?
Or even 50. I mean, 50 is old now too. Like you have to find a way to make your life better, like fulfillment and being like good with your non-negotiables.
Yeah.
You know, people always saying, "Hey, I'm gonna get on a diet," and then you only get on the diet like halfway through the week, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna be better on Monday," but it's like Wednesday. Like, dude, that's a whole week from now.
Yeah.
Like, people just don't put it together and like realize like, hey, life is really short. I mean, I'm 44. You guys are in your 30s. Like, what has happened?
I think he's
Time
in his
has
20s
passed.
actually.
Okay, well,
Just
fine.
say, just
It's
say.
the skin routine. You know,
Yeah,
but,
the skin routine.
but what has happened, right? We all can look back and be like, what happened in my life? Yes,
Yeah.
maybe things look
Mhm.
great right now, but
Mhm.
even you were doing the dancing, what, 15 years ago, 12 years
Right.
ago?
About 10
Yeah.
years
About
ago.
10 years ago, and you're like
Amazing.
Airbnb guy now.
Right.
Like all these businesses going on. You're teaching people to have successful businesses while they're young and learning and thriving. As long as all they got to do is like put the batteries on and be like, hey, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I got a mentor like Jorge teaching me what to do versus back in the days. I don't know if you had one. I never had a
No.
mentor.
I mean, I had a lot of role models that helped me change the course of my life because there was a lot of challenges in my upbringing, which actually I think you guys wanted me to kind of talk about that.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes.
So I would say my very first I would say challenge and obstacle, and these are all things that formed me to who I am today. But when I was 7 years young, I used to sell drugs with my dad. That's actually
Wow.
how we made a living.
Interesting. Wow.
And when I was 10 years old, we used to smuggle people into the U.S.
Wow.
That was also how we made money.
Wow.
And my dad was like in
Yeah.
and out of jail. So it's
Mhm.
interesting because my parents were very entrepreneurial,
Mm-hmm.
but it was always doing illegal things where my
Mhm.
dad was like in and out of jail.
Right.
Wow.
And he was also an alcoholic. I remember when I was 7 years old, the doctor told him that if he wanted to see his youngest son, Jorgito, grow up,
Oh.
he needed to stop drinking.
Wow.
Mm.
And he did, but the damage was too far and too long. So when I was 12, he passed away from alcohol.
God bless.
Oh my God. I'm
And
sorry
then
to
my
hear that.
mom started, shortly after started dating some guy. And so she
Yes.
basically abandoned me.
What?
And her friend took me in. Her name is
Wow.
Estela. And Estela says, Jorge, as long as you keep going to school, she said, I'll feed you, I'll clothe you, and I'll put a roof over your head.
Wow.
Right. And I failed 7th grade because I was, just going through a dark time in my life. Barely graduated high school with 4 Fs and 1 D. And then I dropped out of college when I started my first business, which was the dance business.
So you're literally saying you were abandoned. You're literally saying you had, Fs. You literally are
I mean,
saying,
you lost your father.
Mr.
God,
George
man,
lost
like-
his father at 12. And not only that, you literally had a 50-50 chance injury in your back, your spine. And you're telling us today you are the, Airbnb king, 14 plus properties, own your own businesses, schooling people. So
Wow,
I don't know.
guys.
You guys truly do not have an excuse. I am just letting you know I don't have an excuse. Eli, you don't have an excuse.
I don't have an excuse. That's
Like
for
we
sure.
have Mr. George sitting with us who defied the odds, and this is medical. This is your family. This is your parents. This is school. And you literally didn't look at anything, and you're like, I'm gonna move forward, and I'm gonna own these Airbnbs. I'm gonna start my businesses, and people are gonna learn from me, and I'm gonna have my schooling, which is
the
your
real system.
the real system. Like wow.
So let's ask you one final question, right? So you're in your 30s, 5 years from now. I ask this to all my people on my team too. Like, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? What is the Jorge Contreras? What is he looking at? What kind of visual do you see in yourself?
And that's a good question. I used to have very specific goals where it was like this amount of money in the bank, this many properties. Now, I don't have any numbers tied to my
Mhm.
goals. It's just about intention, right?
Mhm.
Got it.
So my intention is to continue to grow in every aspect of my life. So continue to become the best father, the father I didn't get to have, to be the greatest
Mhm.
husband I can be, to
Mhm.
be a great entrepreneur that is changing people's lives.
Love that.
So it's just doing more of what I'm doing right now. So it's
Wow.
just giving back, philanthropy. We do have a goal with the company, right? Because you need to have KPIs, and that's
Of
to help
course.
a million people become financially free over
Love
the
that.
next 10 years.
Yes.
Love that.
Teach them how to have enough passive income that could give them the freedom to, whether if they don't want to have that job, because 85% of people in the U.S. are unsatisfied in their workplace.
Oh yes.
Oh, that's
And,
absolutely true. Yeah.
The reason I was struggling in school so much is because they wanted me to. They're always teaching us to be obedient slaves, and they're training you to be a part of the workforce. But I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and that wasn't an option. So I always felt like dumb growing up. So I
Mhm.
want to teach people that entrepreneurship is an option for those that want to have that.
Yes.
Love
But at the end of the day, like I said, it's just intentions. It's just to keep growing, because if you're not growing, you're dying. So
Oh my God, that's powerful.
Love it. Love
So
it.
guys, so look, we had the amazing Jorge Contreras here at our podcast. This is gonna go live on Sunday at 7 p.m. Possibly 5, but most likely 7. Make sure you guys follow up on our social media platforms. So we'd love to give it up to our guest here, Jorge Contreras, for showing up our podcast today. Make sure you follow him at the Jorge Contreras. Is there any other ways that people can follow you? Maybe how they can sign up for your course?
Yeah, they can message me on Instagram and we can chat. So
Awesome.
Loves it.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for coming in here. Remember, everybody can do anything they can to build their wealth, just like Jorge did, just like me, Mike are doing our thing. You can do anything your heart desires. Be fulfilled. Work hard. Don't take anything for granted. Remember, time keeps going no matter what you do in life. So you might as well start changing now. Thanks, guys.
let's go.